Good evening. Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, June 12, 2019. I'm Donna Mata. Tonight, we take a look back at the details of the Spindle City Fest held in Fall River over the weekend and a look ahead to a water jug drive for the city's public library. But first, let's check in with City News editor for the Fall River Herald News, Phil Devitt, for the headlines that happened this week in the paper. Hi, Phil. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, very good. Well, all right, Phil, why don't you start off with what we talked about. It's the end of school, actually. School closes in Fall River on the 14th, which is Flag Day, my favorite day, for most schools, except Tansy, I think, has another day. But school news is still in the news. Why don't you start with the lunch program?
Yeah, you know, we ran an advanced story in our Sunday paper about this that garnered a lot of attention, a lot of buzz. The headline was pretty much lunch could be free to all Fall River students starting next school year. And on Monday, the school committee made that official, voting unanimously and without much discussion to approve this plan. So how is free lunch going to happen in the city, right? It's got to cost somebody something. That's the big question. So basically the USDA has something it calls the community eligibility provision, which allows high poverty districts to serve universal free lunch and breakfast at no cost to the student and the family. And that's it. It just took, the school committee saying yes to this to make it happen. There was a chance that the district was going to become involved in this last year, but grant funding for other necessary school programming would have been cut if the district enrolled in the free provision, and that's no longer the case, the district tells us. So this is going to start in September when school comes back in session. Everybody gets a lunch for free.
Which is really a very interesting concept. Are they only doing that in Fall River? I think that actually that's happening statewide. Do you know?
I don't know if it's officially, happening in every district in the state. This certainly, in this particular case, it came down to a community decision. The city said no last year, said yes this year. It's certainly happening in a lot more places from the research that we've done. It looks like it's becoming a more common and welcome practice.
Which it should be, and I know that they have meats and vegetables and all good stuff for the kids to eat. So we'll see how the students react as well. Absolutely. Because I know there's 800 lunches that are being given out at Durfee. At Durfee, that's 800 at Durfee. And what we also learned in our reporting is that Durfee is what's known in the district as the cooking school. So it's also preparing about 1,600 meals that then go out to other schools in the district, and then they're heated on site. Durfee does that. Cuss, Henry Lord, Talbot, and I believe Sylvia Elementary School cooks for itself. But the eating and cooking process is a busy one in this district, serving so many thousands of students. Which helps the moms out too, so no more sandwich making if they don't want to do it. The kids could eat free at school, so that should be interesting coming up in September. There's also another change in September in terms of school start and stop times. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so another item approved by the school committee on Monday is that 8 out of the Fall River Public Schools District 16 school buildings will have new start and end times. Parents should have received an email about these changes. If they haven't already, they will this week, according to the district. At Durfee High School, for example, start time is moving from 7:55 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. Same at Spencer Borden, actually. Spencer Borden start time is moving to 8:20 a.m. 5 minutes after Durfee, we've had some chatter on our Facebook page from parents and motorists saying, wait, isn't this going to cause kind of a traffic nightmare out there? Well, we don't know if that's going to be the case just yet, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see come the fall how these changes affect traffic patterns in the city. These changes are coming at a time when the district is really looking to lower its transportation costs. You might remember a few weeks ago, transportation costs were estimated to come in over what was budgeted. And so the district has sort of been scrambling, if you will, to figure out a way to bring them down.
Which is understandable. I know that school committee man Mark Costa had some concerns, though, about the change.
Yeah, here's the thing. You have it's never a black and white issue. With Mark Costa, he's basically saying, look, you're going to have a lot of cars out in the road. Just to echo what I said a moment ago, he said he understands the need to do it, but he doesn't think that it should come at the risk of the number of cars and what he said, the potential for disruption in the neighborhoods, especially in the morning. He's sort of putting words to what parents are feeling as well. A mother spoke up at the school committee meeting as well, saying, the mother of a Doran student, who said, look, you're going to move the start time back a half hour. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get my kid there because I have to be at work at a certain time, right? So there are so many logistical issues, not only on the school district side of things, but for families as well. So this isn't just going to be a simple black and white change. It's going to come with some questions and problems to solve.
Right, and it's change. It's change. People will adjust, though. I would think. I mean, you'd have to adjust if that's what's happening. So anyway, that's
right.
happening in September with school, but I think so far the kids will be out and about and having fun with summer activities and stories that we'll cover too. Now moving on
I hope so.
Yeah, that's all we really hope for these kids. Looking at economic development, the city has won an initial lawsuit in connection with the King Philip Mill project. Why don't you give us the details on that?
Yeah, so this is an ongoing lawsuit that goes back now a couple of years. Basically, a New Jersey-based company, formerly based in Massachusetts, filed a lawsuit against the city in connection to the failed sale of the King Philip Mill complex back in 2017. It didn't work out. Well, one small step in this lawsuit is that a judge this week ruled that the case can be moved to Massachusetts rather than being across state line. It's now with the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, and a pretrial conference is set for the end of the month, June 26th, according to the city's corporation counsel, Joseph Macy. He says, on behalf of the city, he doesn't think that the case has any merit at all. It was a lawsuit that was officially filed in January in the U.S. District Court of New Jersey by a group called Fall River Area Revitalization, which in 2017 was the underwriter of a project to convert the mill complex into market rate housing. And that company is seeking $62 million in punitive damages. Of course, that mill complex is now under different ownership. There's been all sorts of activity there in recent months, demolition, things moving around. We're actually tracking the latest developments on the site for another story we're putting together.
Very good. And speaking of other stories being put together, what's coming up over the weekend?
Well, I'll give you a fun one since we're in the summer frame of mind. We've got a preview story going into our paper in one of the next couple of days on St. Anthony of the Desert Church's upcoming weekend Lebanese Festival. This is, churches put on, events like this all the time, but we were told this is the first time in 50 years that this particular festival is taking place at the church. So it's a big deal for the parishioners and for anybody who's a fan of delicious cuisine.
Very good. I think that's most of us.
That is.
Excellent. All right, Phil, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Nurse Practitioner. South Coast Health, located at 363 Highland Avenue, is in need of a full-time nurse practitioner to perform diversified duties in being responsible for the medical and surgical care of adult and pediatric patients. Job number 122-49388. Safety Technician. Whirlpool Corporation, located at 88 Current Road, is looking for a full-time safety technician to implement and maintain company policies adhering to local, state, and federal environmental, health, and safety regulations. Job number 122-47650. Fitness Manager. Crunch Fitness, located at 450 William S. Canning Boulevard, is looking for a full-time fitness manager responsible for hiring, developing, and managing performance of qualified personal trainers and ensuring that all club members have access to a highly trained fitness staff to provide fitness counseling and training programs. Job number 122-35596. The Cove Restaurant, located at 392 Duval Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. General Manager, Floor Manager, job number 122-46133. Sous Chef, Line Cook, job number 122-46132. Republic Services, located at 1080 Airport Road, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Commercial Truck Driver, job number 122-43195. Parts Clerk, job number 122-43185. For more information on these or other positions, visit massHire.jobquest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. A flag-raising ceremony was held at Kennedy Park in Fall River over the weekend as part of an annual nationwide day of remembrance of firefighters. State and city officials, including Mayor Jaziel Correa and Fire Chief John Lynch, were among those who spoke at the event. Here's more.
This is the most hallowed celebration because it's so close to everybody that you see before you. Every firefighter, every paramedic, every special service person, because we have names on the memorial bell here that are very close to us. It's a reminder that every day when we show up and come to work, you never know what could happen. You could walk through the door one day and be on that bell the next day. As the fire chief, it is my job to make sure that nobody ever gets put on that bell again, that nobody even comes close to being put on that bell again. And today I stand before you solemnly, but also proudly, because I see my men before me. I also see that in the back, if you can see, we have 15 of our new recruits. They're going to be the lifeblood of this most best of all fire departments. Because without new blood, it's just like any other body. The body withers and dies. But I'm proud to say that we're adding 15 new members. The citizens of Fall River will be proudly served, and that's our goal here.
In conjunction with the New Bedford Standard Times and the Fall River Herald News, Fall River Community Media broadcast a live conversation on bullying in our FRC Media studios recently. Local social service agency, public school, and law enforcement officials participated in a discussion on how to combat widespread community bullying. The first question asked was, what is the definition of bullying?
We have 4 criteria we actually have to meet in order to technically define it as bullying. It has to be intentional, it has to be repetitive, it has to have an impact on the person, and it has to include a power imbalance. So I think sometimes people get frustrated where we might say it's not a bullying situation, but that's strictly based on a definition. That's not to say that something wrong might not have happened that deserves its consequences. Because oftentimes, sometimes conflicts will come up, and as we know at any age, children, adults, the conflicts come up, but that doesn't necessarily make it bullying. So we try to get to the core of it, figure out what it is in terms of the definition.
And just before we move on, can you talk a little bit about the power relationships? Because if they are peers, how do you define power?
It's really unique to each situation in terms of a power imbalance. I mean, people might view that as size, as popularity, as age.
Yep.
So that one can be a little bit objective in terms of, subjective. I'm sorry, in terms of how it's looked at. But again, all 4 criteria have to come into play in order for that to be defined as bullying from a school standpoint.
Okay.
On the law enforcement side, there is no law bullying, like you wouldn't charge anybody that. We have criminal harassment. So to me, I see bullying as the precursor, the bullying, just before you get to that level where it's criminal behavior.
Right.
And a lot of the elements are same to what they're speaking to already.
On the lighter side of the news, the Spindle City Fest attracted hundreds of people to Fall River over the weekend to enjoy good food and music along the city's waterfront. The owner of Spencer of Muscular Therapy was also on hand to present information about illegal cannabis alternative treatment for pain, both emotional and physical, as we hear in this report.
I've been a massage therapist for 25 years, and over that time, I have noticed people who are baby boomers like me have issues with pain, they're tired of taking meds, and they want some alternatives. For that reason, I have gone into the cannabis industry, and I now make products using cannabis root for pain relief. I carry different cannabis products, again for pain relief, and CBD oil as well. One of the issues that we see as a baby boomer is we want relief from stress and anxiety too. And being a massage therapist, yes, I've done that for a long time, but how do we do that when we go home from your appointment? I can teach you different ways to manage your stress using cannabis, not necessarily to get high, but using it in a healthy way. Beginning in September here at the Narrows, I'm going to be offering workshops on how to use cannabis responsibly. So many of us had experiences back in the 70s that cannot compare to what today will bring when you try cannabis again. So it's my goal to provide information to you so you can make wise choices. Not just with whole plant cannabis, but also tinctures, topicals. We'll talk about that. I'll teach you how to make topicals if you want to make your own pain relief. We'll talk about infusing food with cannabis so you can use it in your everyday life, and of course, pain relief.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Today we have Bobby. He is a 10-year-old Jack Russell Pug mix. He was an owner surrender. He's very sweet. He loves going for walks, and he doesn't mind just being held and sitting in your lap. He is playful. He does get along with other dogs. He would probably do better with older children. He does play very shy at first, but once he feels comfortable with you, he'll be a best friend. So if you want to come down and meet Bobby at Forever Paws, we are located at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Massachusetts, because he would love to meet you.
Today we have Finch. Finch is a 23-pound kitty cat. He's a big man. He is a whole lot of cat. He's about 4 years old, like I said, 23 pounds. While Finch definitely needs to lose a lot of that weight, he's otherwise a great cat with a nice and friendly attitude. He really enjoys treats, as you can tell. So we have been trying very hard to give him the healthiest of the treats. If you're interested in taking on the challenge of getting this big fella into some nice healthy shape, come on down to Forever Paws, 300 Linwood Ave, and come meet him. You definitely won't regret it. He's a pretty awesome cat.
Welcome back. The Fall River Public Library is in need of empty water jugs. Why? The answer is a mystery, but not for long. We asked children's librarian Dave Mello if he is planning an igloo building event in the upcoming months. Here's what he had to say.
No, we're not building another igloo, but we do need a lot of empty water jugs for our next project. I'm not going to tell you what we're building, but it is something to do with outer space. And our summer reading club this year, which happens to celebrate outer space. Our summer reading club is a universe of stories. But I am not going to tell you what we are building. This is going to be a surprise. But it's tall, and it's going to be big, and it's going to be fantastic. So we ask all of you with empty water jugs to please bring them to the Children's Department of the Fall River Public Library. We appreciate it.
That's it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m., but our online news site is available 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Donna Mata. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.